Hey, it's been a little bit. You may recognize me. My name is Erin, and I know it's been a little bit since I've been on camera. It may have been a little bit since you've seen this car. You may recognize it. This is my Volt that some of you very kind members of the audience helped me get, which again, thank you very much. Now, something that has happened since I last spoke about this car. He just hit 60,000 miles, and I'm here to tell you a few of the things that I've noticed and a few of the things that, maybe good, maybe bad, since I have last spoken about this car. And coincidentally, it's also been about a year since I've had it. So let's get into it. Since the last time I have spoken about this car, my range estimates have gotten significantly better, and that is mostly due to the fact that my own driving skills in this car have gotten better. Now, when I started out, I had about 48 miles per charge, and that may be because the previous owner used primarily gas when driving this car. Now, it kind of happened over the course of the year I've had it, but in summer, I get an average of about 62 miles per charge. I've even gotten all the way up to 70. And in the winter, it gets about to be 54-ish. And of course, that's because of climate controls and the weather conditions. One of the things I really love about this car is that basically I get all of the features that an EV gets, but I still have that range extender. And this is big coming from someone that previously drove an ICE vehicle. And, plugging in has been pretty nice. It's been really easy. The one thing that I've found that kind of isn't so great is that most of the chargers in public spaces that my car takes are kind of not great. Good news is though, I charge mostly at home, and because of that, it has been incredibly cheap. And on top of that, I don't really use gas that much. I drive this mostly on electricity, and in fact, using OnStar's services, I can actually see how many miles I've driven on electricity, and I believe about 54% of my driving is actually electricity. Now, the other 46% is mostly me going to go see people and going longer distance, but in town, all electricity. Now, the nice thing about home charging with this car is that usually I'll just plug in overnight and it'll be done in the morning. It does take about anywhere from 8 to 10 hours, depending on how dry my battery is, but usually I let it get all the way down to like about 5 miles and then I plug it in. But the good news is there is quite a bit of reserve in this battery. So that means that if I do run it down, that there is very little chance that this battery is going to be damaged in any way. Now, I do find that there's a lot of difference between driving in hold mode and driving in the standard electric mode. It's much smoother, obviously, when it's in full electric. It is very peppy. You really have no problem pulling into traffic. It is very quick. It is very smooth. It's, again, the EV experience. But when you have it in hold, obviously, if you had not warmed up the engine quite yet, it is a bit more of a rough transition. It's a bit more kind of traditionally like ICE, if you will. But if you are on a long road trip and that engine has had some time to warm up, it gets a lot smoother. Now, because I came from a over 20-year-old ICE car, it obviously didn't come with the number of features that this car has. The most customization I could do is the volume and how hot or cold it was. This was a little intimidating, honestly, but I really appreciate how much you can do with it. There are a few places where, trying to find how do I change this? How do I change how my car locks? How do I change, do all my windows go down when I press this button on my fob? That was a little hard for me to figure out, but it's gotten a lot more easy for me. Everyone that comes into this car is always very excited to use the heated seats, and that's because most of the people I know don't have premier features on their cars. In fact, my boyfriend gets very excited whenever he comes in, and he always just smashes the button right there. He's like, yes, yes, yes. Speaking of people that I have put in this car, I have had a few people that are rather tall try to get in here and have had some difficulty. Now, I've even noticed that with this. It's rather low and kind of a bit of a tight fit, but being that I am pretty much of average size, I don't find much of a problem. But if you are tall and you are thinking about getting one of these cars, that is something definitely to consider. Because of the hatchback, I can fit so much more in this car. Now, I actually moved a good portion of my room using this car because of that awesome hatchback in the back. Now, something that I had been speaking with a few of the team members about was, I'm not a huge fan of the sedan style, but something that really redeems this car is the fact that the back does open up like a hatch. In fact, if you look at it, it is technically listed as a hatchback, though you can look at the body design and be like, really? But it is great for loading in big stuff. I mean, I have surprised myself with the amount of stuff that you can fit in here. The only downside is that the trunk is a bit high, and I think that's just because, you know, it's a hybrid. You're fitting a lot of stuff in this car, so, you know, stuff being technology and batteries and, you know, things that make the car go forward, which are pretty important. But I've put furniture in here. I've put all sorts of stuff. Great for IKEA trips, you know, if you live in a place with IKEA. You really couldn't fit much back in the back of my Honda. I remember trying to move from like my family's house and moving into my own place for the first time, and it was a nightmare. I could barely fit like a small filing cabinet, not even 3 feet tall. I remember cramming it in there because it was a 2-door also. So nightmare. This car, 4-door plus the hatchback, I love it. It makes it so much better, so much easier. I think I would have really preferred the like body style of the Bolt, having that kind of tall, kind of a lot more headroom, a bit more that kind of flat back, like the traditional like hatchback. But I'm perfectly happy with what I have here. Another thing that I've been considering doing is camping in this car actually, and I've seen a lot of really interesting mods where you can get cots for the back. Now that is something that I've been considering, and maybe we'll make another video on that. Something else I mentioned in the last video was that I had OnStar. Now since then I have downgraded my package to the safety and security package. The reason being, I didn't really need all of the extra frills and fluff. I just really wanted some of those important features like finding my car if it gets stolen, you know, because my car got stolen last time. Now, admittedly, this car, the Volt, has many more safety and security features compared to a over 20-year-old Honda Accord. That's a given. But I felt much more secure having extra features in the car that would allow me to easily locate my car in the event if it was stolen. Another feature with OnStar is that it has the driving statistics. Now, what I really liked about that is that they can send those to insurance agencies, and I actually just switched policies, and using those statistics actually brought my insurance down a good few dollars every month, which means it will put a few more pennies in my pocket each month, which is definitely a bonus. OnStar also sends me maintenance notifications and other things like that. I swear this isn't a commercial. I just really like the feature. Sometime earlier this year, I also had a recall on this car, and it was something relating to the battery. I did take it to the dealership, and they actually addressed something else that came up. I hadn't noticed any issues with the battery, but I had noticed that when I put it in park, it was throwing up errors. Now, this was something that the dealership already knew about and were willing to fix because it was still under warranty at the time. So that was all resolved very well. But I'm sure if it was not under warranty, I would have some problems. So what is my future with this car? I honestly don't see myself getting rid of this car anytime soon. True, it does have 5 years under the belt, but I'm really a personal believer of keep it on the road as long as you can. And when I do eventually get rid of this car, I honestly don't see myself going back to ICE. This car, the Volt, is definitely a gateway EV. Being that it has all of the features of an EV and has the added bonus of having a range extender, you get something that is way more accessible for people who are still kind of worried about going all the way in, like myself. And I think it makes EVs a bit more approachable to the general public who are still very nervous about getting into the electric field. That is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell for notifications. Also, check out our swag store. I will be dropping some holiday designs soon, so keep your eyes peeled. Also, don't forget to check out our Patreon, or maybe give us a Ko-fi, or maybe toss us a few Bitcoins. Now, because I am in my car, I do have my phone to read the patron list. So thanks on behalf of the entire TE crew. Go out to the folks on my right for being our $15 to $49 a month patrons. Special thanks to our $50 a month patrons, Joseph Brucker, David Janicula, Andrew Martin, Guido Drahota, Brophy Wolf, Michael Goad, Tesla in the Gong, Sean Ueda, Gordon C., Rajeen Fellows, Anonymous Freak, Jim Burness, Kyle Hodgson, Anthony Coates, Ricky Leong, Brian Newton, Laura Sanborn, Rory Litwin, and Denny Hyde. And our deepest gratitude to our $100 a month patron supporters, John Lyons, Marcel Ward, Reggie Watts, Joe Bresney, Krissa Kentavar, JP Fagerback, Will Graylin, Matthew Drubnak, Christopher Lee Jones, Paul Conway, Ellery Hensley, and Ian. Thanks for joining me, and as always, keep evolving.